So if you could turn your attention to its source, meaning sort of resting, resting in the innate stillness. No need to do anything, nothing to do. The body appears the way it appears. Thoughts, perceptions appear whichever way they appear. There's no need to remember anything that you read or that has happened this morning or earlier. We don't need to know anything about non-duality, about world events. To be, to simply be. The effortlessness of being. In and as being, we are truly what we are. There's no age or name or gender to presence. We don't need to imagine anything, to remember anything, to address anything, to fix anything, to simply be and recognize yourself as this presence. So, presence recognizing itself. The sound of birds singing. And sensations within the body. The breath. Effortless. There's no need to understand. The sunshine shining through the window. The gurgling sound of the brook. Such beauty in such creation, spontaneous arising. Being, beingness itself, without any limitation, without defining yourself in any way whatsoever. As presence, you're not a son or a daughter, a father, a mother, a brother, a sister. As presence, you are this transparency, this silent, still presence that knows itself as I, not I, somebody, that I, this boy, this girl, this man, but I as this transparent, effortless awareness. That has no borders and no edges. It does not belong to any particular tribe or any particular mind. It is as this presence, as the reality of consciousness, that love gets its meaning. Because as this reality, there isn't a me and mine and yours. It's like the ocean made out of water. Every wave, every current, every aspect of the ocean is water, same waterness. Which is completely void of any separation of beyond the impression of time and space. That is where you truly meet yourself as the causeless, freedom, causeless joy, the causeless love, and the causeless wholeness and totality. Knowing yourself as this causeless peace, as the source of being, and as the expression of being. You do not seek yourself in experiences. You do not seek yourself in feelings, in situations. They matter not. They are of no importance for your true self, that which you truly are. Like the wide open space, which is available for whatever may manifest, without being affected by the appearance and disappearance of form, without being augmented or diminished. The wide open space is not defined by the weather which appears within it. Similarly, you are not defined by your life, by the situations, by the images that appear to you, by the feelings that appear to you. You do not need to do anything about the world, body, mind. But you may choose to. It's your freedom to play in the garden of your own creation. But we can play a sweet, harmonious way without believing the impression that there is something at stake for somebody. As soon as you believe that there is something at stake for somebody, feelings and emotions will arise. They will arise in a very personal way. And you find yourself caught up in the web of feelings and emotions, sorrows and regrets, old stories. And you imagine yourself and you feel yourself to be separate from the love that you are. And so you seek it. You seek it in relationship, situations. Maybe wanting approval, some recognition. And you don't realize that the so-called other is also seeking the same love that you are seeking it in a relationship with you. And then you realize that, you may realize that. And you may become a conduit for love rather than a needy. You find that by being a conduit for love, you are fulfilled. By the love which is flowing through you. And all your feelings which were expressing the sense of lack and need, dissolve in this current of love that flows through you from the source, not from your personal mind, from beyond, from the universe. And you find yourself to be the universe itself, a universal expression, rather than somebody looking for something God's expression through you. Do you, being God's very creation in this moment, creation of this experience right now, not somebody in time, but the eternity of being, the eternity of consciousness, the eternity of love, the eternity of presence. Do you recognize yourself as that? The silent, still presence that permeates all perceptions and all sensations, all manifestation is permeated by this I, this silent, present awareness. Uninterruptedly, without interruption. And effortlessly, without any doing. You do not need to leave yourself and be somebody. Because your self is everybody and everything. Already. Okay, so if there are any questions, anything that you would like to explore, to look into, please make sure you unmute your mic. So, any questions?
Thank you. That was very beautiful.
Yes, Majid. Any questions?
Magdi?
Shiva.
Hi.
Hello, Shiva.
Absolutely no questions, but just want to keep the ball rolling. And bonjour. And so what today is was this sort of revelation, and maybe you can talk to that a little bit. As you know, this has been a long maceration already since whatever 15 years now in this dissolving, in this understanding, in this knowing, not knowing. And there is a growing sense of I really like sort of visceral knowledge of what the operating unit is currently operating from. So there is this, I mean, I'm still using these sort of words, knowing it's all one, but sort of there is this higher self, the observer, the witness, which is completely neutral and lovingly neutral, and nothing is at stake. And then there's the little ego construct, which tries to make sense of things, or operates on its regular little ego base of likes and dislikes and fears and joys and things like that. So in this sort of dual world, and this morning I woke up with this total emptiness. And then the emptiness, it's like I could see it switching from being simply emptiness to, oh my God, something has to happen, or like, this thing of not wanting to be empty, of like filling it with some like activity or some destiny or some future, this sort of like craving of making sense of, like controlling, of like directing and things like that. And so there was a very interesting meditation this morning of just allowing that horse. It felt like a rodeo kind of thing of like, falling back into the emptiness and being perfectly fine and at peace with not knowing. And then this little ego coming in and saying, oh, the world, and what's going to happen, and this and that and the other, and what are you going to do? And so maybe you want to talk about this a little bit. I'm sort of just bringing this up so that we continue having satsang. It's not anything really urgent, but I would love to hear some words from you on the subject.
Okay.
A nice color, by the way. Sunshine.
Yes.
Very good.
West Coast.
Good. All right. I'm gonna turn my video off, but still hope that's okay. Here we go.
So one could say that our fundamental experience is that of presence, awareness. And there is a coloring of awareness. There is a coloring, the coloring being the activity of thinking, the activity of perceiving, the activity of sensing. And the coloring of consciousness, the coloring of awareness, varies from this state to state. So right now in the waking state, there is a certain coloring of consciousness in this moment of this conversation, the sensations, the perceptions. What's really lovely about consciousness that we can comprehend that this coloring is not an actual coloring. It's not a physical coloring. It's as a metaphor, I would say like when you, like the air, if you take the air and you make it vibrate via a certain instrument, then there is a sound that arises. You take a string and you, or a reed, and you whip the reed and it'll make a sound. So the coloring of consciousness upon waking up, or the dream state, or the deep sleep state, is not an issue because there is really nothing happening outside of consciousness dancing, making the wind and making the sound and making the colors being just a certain vibration of light, a certain frequency, a certain amplitude of electrons vibrating within the space, as a metaphor. But the issue in our experience is not the states, the waking state, the dream state, the sleep state. It is not appearance. It is, as you said, oh my God, what's happening in the world? And what's happening in the world refers to me. So the issue with our experience, the core complication in our experience is that subtle sense of me, that although we may have an understanding that this me is fiction, doesn't have an actual reality of its own, as long as it is not completely slain, completely dead, completely gone, it still operates in our waking state, and in the other states. It still operates as a personal experience, a sense of me. So what's happening in the world relates to me. What's going to happen tomorrow relates to me. Me being, as you so well know, this fiction, what you imagine yourself to be. So we need to use every opportunity we have during the waking state and possibly during the dream state, every opportunity we have to investigate, to look, to see, to come to clarity. In this moment, it's always in this moment, in the moment of presence, that the reference referring to yourself as a person with a certain past, a certain future, as somebody who lives in a certain state, in a certain country, in a certain situation, referring to yourself as that is not the correct reference, because you are confusing at that moment your mind, the body, your perceptions, to be that which defines you. There is only one thing which defines you. It's you. Only I defines I. Only I defines I. And I is not an object. It's not phenomenal. I is this reality, the reality that perceives right now. So use every opportunity that you have where these sort of situations arise to you. And I know that you do that, but continue to investigate, to return to your understanding, your deep, profound, unwavering understanding that you are not a person, that you are not anything that appears in the world. The world appears to you, the body appears to you, thoughts appears to you. You are not anything that appears to you. So, although consciousness in movement takes on the form of hearing these voices, perceiving this perception, sensing this sensation, that is not an issue. It's just a dance, a kabuki dance. It's just a dance. It's the marionettes are dancing. There is no issue with that. It's actually quite amusing. The issue is with this false belief that I am Megdi, that I am Shiva, that I live in California, etc., etc., etc. That confusing myself to be the body mind, to be an element, to be an activity, to be a form, to be an object. And as you know, it takes quite a bit of inquiry into that and living that understanding as fully as you can, sacrificing everything that you hold on to that understanding, on behalf of that understanding, so that no past traces remain in your current experience. Whatever the body, mind, the brain needs to record, it records in order to function and to operate and to it's already doing so many things, the breathing, the blood circulation, the brain, the body, the cells, the universe is interacting as this interaction, mysterious dance of Shiva. Mm-hmm. But you are not moving, nothing is happening at the level of your true self, the only self there is. And when you pursue the thoughts about the world, meaning the thoughts about me and the world and him and the world and her and whatever, it solidifies the impression of an external reality, an objective reality, and therefore an objective self.
Yeah, it's totally amazing. I mean, it's like a total miracle, the whole thing. I mean, from the start of this sort of inception of this input of, wise men and teachers telling you, oh, you don't exist, person is an imagination, etc. So like that, when I look back to like when that started, like I don't know, 15 years ago. I mean, this is ridiculous because obviously it started much earlier than that. And it doesn't even matter when it started because it actually never really started. It's this sort of dance which is happening. And the tendency, maybe a tendency I see because, you know, there were years of silence and years of silence and years of meditation. And now there's this, again, activity in my life and so-called others. And I see, what I see is and when I say the human tendency, I'm obviously fully including myself. The human tendency is that of random suffering. It's sort of like as soon as we go into this definition, like I'm the person, I'm separate, I'm like, what, even if we don't think it, if we just operate the way we are brought up to operate, there is we function like magnets for suffering because the whole thing is suffering itself. Like the whole concept of being a separate entity is in itself suffering. So everything we do, I mean, I can see that with like beings in my environment with this automatic suffering response. Like when in doubt, go to the negative, go to the suffering. And so I was amazed this morning to be in this, to be sort of witness to that tendency in myself. Like, here I am waking up empty. I'm not waking up saying it's Tuesday and at 10 o'clock I have a phone call meeting and then at 11 o'clock there's satsang with Magdi. No, I'm like waking up completely empty. And I'm using it, and I go out into the garden and I sit on my yoga mat, and I'm just in that moment, it turns sour. There's the invitation of sourness appearing, like, oh, empty, yeah, but you know, where's your lover? Where's the income? Where's this? What, blah blah blah. You know, there's this like, oh, what are you going to do next month? Or, and I see it coming, and now I have fortunately enough tools to identify this thing and to let it again transcend and disappear, but it still comes up naturally. It's like, it's funny, you know, you would say that once the full understanding is there, but no, there's still some vasanas probably flying around which want to express themselves in form of like the thought of like what's happening on Thursday. You know what I mean? It's really strange.
So consider that God sends you a very specific message. The message is, oh my God, what's going to happen to me next week? Okay, because that thought just arises.
Right.
Consider that it's a gift. God just sent you this package, and it's telling you, hey, Shiva, here's a gift for you from me, from God. I love you. I love you beyond, you know, forget about the love of your mother or your, you know, I love you beyond the beyond. And here is my very specific gift to you. That thought.
Right.
And that sensation within your body.
Right. It's amazing you talk about this because this is exactly what happened, which I got this transmission the other day, and I don't want to go into details, but I received this transmission saying something along the lines of that which we most dislike, that what we could call the enemy, what we really resist the most, is what is the most in need of our love. and to actually transform it that way. And you're absolutely right. And I think to some degree, this is what I did this morning, because I wasn't battling it or struggling with it. I was just sort of like amazed how the stuff keeps on, it's just cuckoo. And I remember Muji Baba always said, it's like I fired the ego, but it turns up for work the next day. And then you say, but I thought I fired you. And you said, no, you didn't. You were just thinking about it. So I'm like, hey, it's fine. Thank you, Magdi. Merci beaucoup. Huh? Oops. It's dropping.
So it's like, oh my God, like how fortunate I am that I can look at this stuff.
Mm.
I remember this story that Francis said. He says it on occasion. About this sage who's traveling. He's been invited by a very wealthy lord to visit him. So the sage goes there, and the lord prepares the best meal and the best festivities, for the sage, and the best bedding and the best treatment. And so after the overnight stay, the sage decides to thank, his friend who's very wealthy, and bestows upon him 10 times more wealth. And then he goes on to his next friend, who's invited him, who's a pauper, a very, very poor person, lives in a hut, just has one cow.
Oh, I know this story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And offers the sage the milk from the cow, and has him sleep on the husk, the husk bedding. And the next day, as the sage is leaving, he wants to do a very nice thank gift for his friend who's very pauper, and he kills his cow.
The only cow.
The only cow he has. And his disciple tells him, how did you do that to this person who just has nothing? All he has is his cow. Why being so cruel to him? And the sage tells him, he is attached. I love him so much, and I'm doing that because he's attached to his cow. So it's a gift from me.
Yeah.
It's interesting that we receive those gifts, those gifts.
Right.
We receive them.
So true.
It's how we receive them, not what we receive, but how we receive.
Very beautiful, Magdi. Thank you so much.
Okay, Shiva, nice to see you.
Bullseye.
Any questions?
So I want to ask you a personal, I want to ask you a related question.
Yes, Monsieur.
Question related to that.
Okay.
So the objects in awareness and the personal me do not have any reality to them. And then how about some words like enlightenment and words like chakras, you know, heart chakra, third eye, belly chakra, and also some words like bardos and ghosts and things like they have in the Tibetan tradition. Do they have any reality to them, or like enlightenment? Does it have a physical light correlation or concept to it, or reality to it, or are they just like you said last time, pedagogical metaphors for the state of realization? Also, so is the body overwhelmed by light, physical light, or something like that? Do you actually have to seek a heart chakra to realize?
Yes, I understand. I just want to mention, you started by saying that the world is not real, or something to that effect.
Yes.
I am careful not to speak like that.
Yes.
I do not share that the world is not real. My sharing is that the reality of the world is consciousness.
Yes.
So just want to make that little comment, but that's not, of course, a question, but since you have raised that up, I would like to make that comment. Now,
yes,
about enlightenment, it depends what we mean by enlightenment. So if by enlightenment we are referring to, well, I am now living as a person under a lot of misery and identification and suffering, and now I get enlightened. Now I am enlightened. I am an enlightened person. That is erroneous. It is erroneous because to be a person is imaginary. It's the illusion of separation. I imagine myself to be somebody, to be a person, to be a son, a daughter, whatever. But my reality is awareness. So the enlightenment is not something that the person achieves. Enlightenment is more like an awakening or becoming free of the belief and, of course, of the feeling, of the sense of separation. And enlightenment is, of course, it's a word we use, but it's referring to an experience, the experience of consciousness that is not veiled, that is not reduced to or limited or conditional upon an object, upon a body, or upon a brain, or upon a personal mind.
yes.
So when you look at your experience without relying on the past, without relying on memory, without relying on the memory of your mother, your father, your country, your nation, your brother, your sister, your home, without relying on the past. If you look at your experience, meaning in this moment, you find that in order to be a man, you have to go to the past. You have to go to an image. You have to go to a memory. You have to go somewhere. You have to go to some idea, some belief, somewhere. But if you don't go into any concepts or any past or future or any idea or any notion, your experience in this moment is that of being. I mean, we say the word being or awareness or presence. You perceive, I perceive, there is no doubt I perceive. And there's no doubt that I is that which perceives. And there is, you don't need to go any further, except for the understanding that that I which perceives is not a body, is not a person, is not a specific form. It is just awareness within itself, as itself perceives, is and perceives. So one could say that enlightenment is this clarity, this understanding, being the entirety of your experience, the entirety of your experience. So when your experience is that without you leave it in order to become Majid, to become a great engineer or a great father or a great brother or a great son, whatever. You don't leave that. Now, sometimes people have a misunderstanding. They say, well, okay, then if you are established as this presence, then how do you function? I don't function. The body functions. When the birds sing, I hear the birds. When you say hello Magdi, I say hello Majid. The body is equipped for whatever it needs. It tells you when it's time to nourish the body. The body is going to tell you, nourish me, or give me something to drink, or take me to bed. I need to get some rest. You see. But the I, which is consciousness, isn't doing anything. And it doesn't need to do anything. But the fact that it's not doing anything does not mean it is empty. No. It is complete presence. It is actually this very emptiness which is dancing right now as this conversation. It's that very emptiness that in this very moment is perceiving this perception, hearing these words, speaking these words. Everything that you experience and you do comes out of the emptiness. Now, the belief that it comes out of you is the illusion. So enlightenment is being free, completely free from the belief that whatever functions, whatever activities arise, that they arise from you, the person, you, the body mind, to be free from that belief and that feeling. But this does not mean that activity does not arise from you. It arises from you, but you as consciousness, you as this presence, as this absolute presence. Now, in terms of the bardos and the chakras. Now, the bardos are various stages of, let's say, of insight, various stages of insight, of illumination. I do not, because my experience has not been that of bardos, has not been that of chakras. There is a path from the lower chakra to the God chakra in one shot. There is a direct path that bypasses the chakras. So I do not speak of chakra.
Well, but you need to open the heart chakra, which is a lot of people say that you need to open the belly chakra or the heart chakra.
No, you don't need to open any chakras.
Yes.
You simply need to follow your love for truth.
Yes.
Truth guides you.
Yes.
At least this is my conversation. Of course, with other teachers, you may hear different things.
Yes, yes.
But since you are asking me, you don't need to go through any chakras or open any chakras. Simply follow your truth, your interest in truth, your love for truth. Maintain your interest in happiness, in causeless happiness. alive, maintain it alive, live according to the principle of universal happiness. That doesn't mean your personal happiness, universal happiness. Do not engage, do not pursue a path of complication and of unhappiness as much as you can. As much as you can. Remain clear, remain transparent. And the path from the lower chakra to the high chakra is a direct path. It's not tick, 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 tick. God didn't create a ladder for you to come to Him. There are no gates to God's kingdom. No gates, no walls.
Yes.
No gates and no walls. So you can go straight to that. Now, having said that, it is possible that during your path, your journey, that you will experience various states, various openings. You may experience a certain opening in the heart, in the belly, in the hara, or in the chest, or in the where your third eye sort of expands, and that will happen. But there is no need for you to make any objective, to not make any objective beyond the ultimate objective of peace and happiness, causeless peace and happiness.
Yes.
If these experiences occur to you, which they may, and they will in one way or the other, simply savor the experience, get the message, whatever the message is. There will be a message, get the message, but don't pursue it and don't hold on to it. Let it live itself through you. And in terms of the makyos, if there are makyos that arise, certain visions or certain, as if they're hallucinogenic experiences, but they're not hallucinogenic. Again, don't make any point of that. They don't have a value of themselves. They may occur to you during your journey. They may be part of when something is releasing itself, it may spark in a certain way, but it's not of big significance. The most significant significance for you is to keep your focus on the love for truth. And love for truth is universal love, is loving the truth for everyone, for not just on your behalf, but you are loving truth on the behalf of everyone. You are the carrier of the light on behalf of everyone, and there is nothing special about you. You are the servant of humanity.
Yes, yes. I guess it's, the mind keeps trying to escape from the present moment. And as an intellectual,
Yes.
unfortunately for me, I'm obsessed with words. And
yes,
my whole life, last time when you said to me, there is a gap now, I should have shut up and listened. And that moment, I would have become totally enlightened. But so I'm so obsessed with words that my mind keeps going after the literal meaning of words and things like that.
Yes.
And then I miss the kind of metaphorical pointer. Sometimes getting away from the sneaky, subtle way in which the mind sort of hides at the edge of the present moment and sort of either escapes or gets distracted into the meaning of words or things like that.
If you have an intellectual mind and a powerful mind, an active mind, put it to the service, put it to your service, to the service of truth. You don't need to be at the service of the mind, but powerful mind, an active mind, and thinking mind, and intellectual mind can be put to good use. So use your mind for reflection upon the true meaning of consciousness, of reality. Not to simply engage in concepts and in objects and in activities for activity's sake, or for the object's sake, or for the sensation's sake, or for the sake of certain pleasure. No, use the mind to come to the understanding about the reality of consciousness. Atmananda Menon had a very, very powerful mind, and he used his mind and the reasoning aspect of his mind to reason about truth. How could I be two? How could I be that which perceives? And at the same time, I'm perceiving a thought, and inside the thought there is an I. How could I be inside that which I perceive? And how could I at the same time be that which perceives? You can look at that, use the mind to look at that. Obviously, I perceive the thought that says, oh, I am such a great guy. So the thought is saying something about me.
Yes.
But the thought, I know the thought. So the thought is known. It is not knowing. The thought does not know me. I know the thought. So whatever the thought is saying about me cannot be true, because the thought does not know me. I am the knower of the thought. I am the reality of the thought. But if, so it's a reasoning, this is using your mind. But if I am perceiving a thought that is saying, you're such a great guy, and
Yes, yes.
I am believing this thought because I am the reality that perceives. Therefore, I am the reality that is giving this thought credibility. I am the reality, I meaning consciousness, the reality that is giving the thought, which is an object that I perceive, the power or the reality, the credibility. I am choosing to create a thought that says something about me, which is completely ludicrous because the thought does not know me. But it's a choice that I'm making. I am playing this game of, obviously, I am consciousness, I am awareness, but choosing at that moment to create and believe that, oh, how interesting, this thought just said that I'm such a great guy, and now I can feel like I'm a great guy, or saying, oh, you're so stupid, now I'm feeling depressed. It is my game. Why is it my game? Because I am the reality. I, meaning consciousness, is the reality. So it's
at that point the mind sort of claims credits for that and tries to be better than everybody.
Yeah, but the mind has no power of its own. It has no consciousness of its own. So when we say the mind is claiming whatever it's claiming, the mind is something that you perceive. There is no actual mind that has life somewhere. When we say mind, what are we referring to? When we say mind, we're referring to thought. We're referring to something we're experiencing. We call it the mind, but there is no such thing as a mind. There isn't like a structure somewhere which is called the mind, and then you make an appointment with the mind, and they invite you, and you open the door, and you go into office number B505 of the building, the mind building. There is no mind building. There is a Trump building somewhere, but not a mind building. There is no structure called the mind, right?
Yes, yes.
It's just, we say the mind. The mind knows, the mind does this, the mind does that. What do you mean? I mean, what the mind? No, mind is doing nothing. The mind is a thought that's being perceived, or a sensation that's being perceived, or a perception that's being perceived. It is inert.
There is a kind of reliving of the past, and the mind is, or the thoughts are trying to take revenge on the negative memories and trying to prove success in imagination rather than the failure of the past.
You know, any success or any failure refers to somebody who's succeeding or failing. If the somebody who is succeeding or failing is in fact succeeding and failing, it must be real. That somebody must be real. In order for the success of somebody to be real, that which is succeeds or fails must be real. And if that somebody is real, then it must be real right now, right? It cannot just be real 20 years ago and not real now. It must be real right now. So what is it that is real right now?
The pain seems real at that time.
Sorry?
The pain.
You have
the pain of the negative memory seems real.
Okay, well, let me come back to that. Hold on that. So if you ask yourself, what is it that is real right now? By real, what do you mean? By real, I mean it's real across the time. It's not more real tomorrow or less real tomorrow. It's not more real yesterday or less real yesterday. It's not more real when I'm in America and less real when I'm in Tunisia. Or it's not more real in the morning and less real in the evening. Real means it's real across the board, right?
Yes.
What is it that is real across the board in our experience this moment? It is awareness, consciousness. Now, you say, the pain seems real. Seems, okay, seems, forget about seems. If we say the pain is real, if the pain is real, that means pain has a reality. If the pain has a reality, then it is real across the time, all the time. It's not going to be less real in 5 minutes or more real yesterday. So if pain is real, we're in deep trouble. We are in deep, serious trouble. Very, very serious trouble.
Yes. Yes.
Right? We will be very serious. Obviously, pain is not real.
It is impermanent.
Permanent, impermanent, yeah. It's not real. Because if it is real, then we would be feeling pain all the time, all the time, all the time. We'll be stuck in an orbit of pain. And obviously we're not. We would go nuts. We would explode. We would implode. We would both explode and implode in one time. Like that, you know. Obviously it's not real. So if it is not real, we cannot then play games and say, well, it is somehow real. Or it seems real. Now we're playing games. It's either it's real or not real. If it's real, then we're in pain all the time. If my past was real or is real, then my past would be right now all the time. All the time I will be experiencing.
Yes.
So we have to be clear about reality. When we use the word reality, we cannot be wishy-washy. We cannot be wishy-washy.
Yes.
We cannot be wishy-washy. No. We are not going to play little kids' games with reality. We're going to say, oh, well, you know, let's squeeze in a little reality here and take out a little reality there. You know what I mean? No. Yes, so we have to come to clarity. See, the clarity has within you. You have the capacity to come to clarity. Why? Because you have the understanding. You have the potential of understanding, of reasoning, hearing, reflecting, contemplating, and understanding.
Yes. And how do you get from that stage to pure love, from the stage of being in personal pain or pains of the thoughts to impersonal love?
Well, if you define yourself via your thoughts about your pain, about your sorrow, about your agony, about things you've done wrong, things you do right, what they did to you, if you define yourself via the stream of thoughts, then that's where you're at. You're in the stream of thoughts and feelings.
Yes.
But what if you don't? What if you don't define yourself via the stream of thoughts, and you define yourself by your reality, by presence? It's not really in defining yourself, but as a way of speaking. I mean, you are this presence, you see. So when we are not defining ourselves from via the past, the future, and the regret and whatever, here we are. Here we are right now. Here we are. Here we are as what? Just peace, beauty, love. Love is not something, I don't have to do anything to love you. You don't have anything to do anything to love me. Because we don't have an image of each other. I'm not saying, oh, I love Majid because, Majid has a really nice hacienda. What? No, there isn't, I love you just because I am you, because we are the same consciousness, the same presence. Love is, and then the understanding comes from the understanding of truth. The truth being the wholeness, the oneness of our true nature. But when we are identified, oh, I'm the son, I'm the daughter, my mother, my sister, my brother, my cousin, they did this and he did that, and why are they doing this? Why don't they leave me? Then that stream of thought, it has all the emotions and the feelings with it, you see. And presence is sort of in the current, is as if we're in the current of the thoughts and the feelings. Now, how do we experience the peace? You have to contemplate what is your reality. Not just to live as the son or the daughter and all the, the teacher, the professor, the boss or whatever. No, because those patterns are already set. I hate my boss. Oh, I love my boss. Oh, but I don't like the guy in office number 202. But I love the one in office 106. That's a setup. You see, it has nothing to do with your true nature, with your reality. Your reality is consciousness, which is the reality of everything. There's one reality. One reality. Not your reality is more special than anybody's reality. No, it's one reality of consciousness.
So is it a question of achieving a permanent breakup with the stream of thoughts, or
no?
Is it a gradual thing that you do every day?
You see, in the stream of thought, there are two aspects to the stream of thought. There is a thought, oh, gee, I need to send a letter to, I maybe after satsang, I'll write the letter, I need to respond to Jimmy's letter. That's a thought, you see. It's a stream of thought. Thought arises from the universe. There is a ignorance within the thought. The thought that is based on the belief, this is the main thought, that I am a man, that I am a person. Can you try to live for 24 hours being really watchful of that thought, that I am Majid, I am a brother, I am a son, I'm a neighbor, just for 24 hours, not to refer to yourself as a person, you see. Okay. So yes, the body is a neighbor. The body, Majid, is the neighbor of the body next door, Abdullah or whoever, is a neighbor. The neighbor of Billy, the neighbor of whatever, the body.
Yes.
But you are not the neighbor. You are not a neighbor. You're not. You're the light. You're the light of awareness. You're the light of awareness. Okay, fine. Your body is a son, a daughter, a niece, a cousin, whatever. That's the body. But the light of awareness is what you truly are. You see. You see. So live as the light of awareness. Keep returning to the light of awareness, your truth, your true nature, your reality. Your reality. It is the light of awareness that allows this body to function. The cells, the molecules that dance the whole universe, the radiation, the universal radiation and the expansion of the space and all of that.
This happens once and for all or gradually?
Well, how many moments are there in your life? How many moments are there in your life? Do you understand my question? Am I clear in my question?
Yes, yes.
How many moments are there in your life?
Now, only now.
Only now. And what is the duration? What is the duration of now?
Sometimes when I'm
now. What is the duration of now?
If I'm aware, there is no duration.
No. What is the not no if? What is the duration of now?
Infinite.
Simple question. What is the duration of now?
Infinite. There is no beginning. There is no end.
There's no duration.
Yeah, no duration.
So when you say, is it gradual? What is it? Gradual or
once and for all?
Once for all. Okay. So I just first want to start with now. In now, there is no duration. Okay. You have any doubt about that, or is it 100%?
No, I agree.
100%. 100%. Okay.
100%.
100%.
Yes.
Okay. Having said that, the process is both gradual and sudden.
Yes.
Gradual is the contemplation. The gradual is the contemplation. We're in conversation right now.
Yes.
One could say that this is a gradual conversation. Yes?
Yes.
But we're engaging. But the understanding is not gradual. When you oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, 2 + 2 = 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I got it. Boom. When you get it, there's no time. It's not gradual. It's immediate.
It's irreversible also.
Irreversible. Once you know that Santa Claus is your papa, is wearing, the hat and all of this, is when you know that the guy who is in the circus cutting the woman in half with the saw, that is not real. In the back there is a mirror and she's standing. Once you understand that, that's it. You're not going to think, oh my God, he's cutting her, in two. It's irreversible. But in terms of your question about is it sudden or gradual, it is both sudden and gradual. So gradual, I'm inquiring, thinking, I'm looking, I'm contemplating, I'm reflecting. The moment of understanding is not in time. Okay? Yeah? So there's a gradual, and there is the sudden.
Yes. Sometimes there is an insistence on being able to formulate what just happened. And it's like something like a moment of pure awareness, and then the mind or the thoughts come in and try to describe it, or to grab it, or to capture it.
What you can formulate after a moment of understanding is the impact or the effect of the understanding on the mind or on the body. So you could say, oh, now I feel happier, or now, you know, the ache that I had in my chest is gone. You see, you can more or less speak about, you can express the process that you remember previous to the understanding, and you can express the effect of the understanding. But the understanding itself, you can't share it, you can't express it. It's
yes. It would be a waste of time, really.
Yeah, but you can speak about the impact. You know, people sometimes ask me, you know, what do I say? Well, you know, it's you experience happiness, peace. You're not troubled. I mean, somebody calls you, you're so stupid. You say, yeah, okay, you're right. Sometimes I am stupid. You know, somebody breaks into your car, you call the cops, and then you come in. Oh, you have to pay $500 to fix the car. Okay, well, you know. So you can describe how the post effect of the understanding. And some understandings you can't even, they're below the radar. There are many understandings we get that we don't know exactly. We don't even know there was an understanding. And later on, we notice that some things have changed in our life. But we don't know exactly when it happened.
Yes.
You find that you're less annoyed, while in the past you used to be more annoyed, but you can't tell exactly when you stopped, when you became less and less annoyed. Maybe, I think it was over the past many months. I don't know if it was in June or in February or March, I don't know.
That was really beautiful, Majdi. Thank you.
Okay.
That's really, really beautiful.
Okay.
That's hits the nail on the head.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. Nice talking to you.
No physical nail, metaphorical nail.
Yes, I understand.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So
many years of doing this reading and meditations, and all the time it was my personal self or my ego that got the teaching. It was not me. It was always, that's why I was having so many obstacles and not understanding really. Just every time I was doing some reading or some meditation or something, my mind was there before, after, and during, instead of my awareness being before and after and during.
Yes.
Like you said last time about the gap. It was not the gap, that was, it was my mind that insisted on getting everything. And so I was just a poor witness, but
sometimes
hopefully now it's better.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, Majid. Any questions?
And you are also so patient. You never seem to be affected by interruption or just some too many words or something like that. You are a very kind person.
I feel so are you, Majid.
Yeah.
Everybody here is very kind. I sense it. I sense everybody's love. It's beautiful.
How do you get the courage to leave the person totally behind, the past, everything, just to erase this person that was, you thought was your friend and was with you all the time, and he was suggesting ideas and solutions, and then he turned out to be the troublemaker?
It's not the person that I let go of. It's the belief that I am a person. Obviously, there is a body-mind called Magdi. There are two children. There is a very lovely wife and friend, Tara. But I don't leave that behind. That's there. That's God's creation. I just leave the belief that I am the person, so that the sense of limitation and the feeling of mortality, that I leave behind, because it's false. It's very clear that I am consciousness. I am the reality that perceives. So to leave behind the false is easy, but you can never leave behind the truth or the real.
Yes, yes. Yes. That's Krishnamurti. You know, that's Krishnamurti. He used to say that all relations are attachments or something. And someone else said, first be, then you can relate after that. Mm-hmm. First you need to be, and then you...
Yes. Yeah, but you know, being is what we are. I mean, you don't have to be in order to be. You already are. So that's mission accomplished, right? Yeah. So it's just a recognition that being is universal, is impersonal, and that being is borderless. There's no better being or lesser being or more being or beautiful being or non-beautiful being. No, that's being is universal. We all are being. Being and isness. The isness of the trees, the isness of the moon, the isness of the sunshine, the isness of the birds. It's the isness and being are one. Awareness and its manifestations are one. So attachment, there is a sweet aspect to attachment. This is a natural, like the apple is attached to the tree. At some point,
yes,
it goes down and it's attached to the earth. Then it gets attached to the worms or the apple pie. So attachment is not a big deal. It's natural to be attached because there is a social aspect to there is an interconnected aspect to consciousness, to the whole world, to the manifestation. It's just not making any problem out of. So in attachment, I'm attached. But then when God says, okay, this finger goes, boom, goes, then God says, well, these two other fingers go, boom, they go. Not to make a problem. And it's interesting, like this finger goes, boom, and then 4 other come. Yeah, okay, oh, okay. It's like that, you see. It goes and comes because
But it's easier a lot of the time when in aloneness. It's so much easier to be. Being is much easier in aloneness. As soon as the other is there, there is also a need to defend, and as soon as you come in contact with someone else, it's a need to defend and a need to justify. And
it depends, if the defense.
Jean-Paul Sartre, he said, l'autre c'est l'enfer.
L'autre c'est l'enfer. Well, yes. That's a pessimistic.
Yes, I agree.
There are exceptions to the rule. Okay.
I thought I bring that up.
Sometimes it's justified to take precautions. It's just, but sometimes it's not. You see, so. When you get information that justifies, you're being, defensive or watchful or careful, then of course you honor this information because this information is coming to you. This person has a history of being disrespectful, and so you are attentive. So there is a justified cautiousness, but being with the other when you are defending your image, or when you're defending your ego, your position, or you have so many conditions about how people have to be with you, then
or sometimes you act as you are, and the others, with this non-dual understanding and so on, they will understand that you are naive and too simple.
No, I'm okay with that. Who cares? If people think I'm naive or too simple, that's okay with me, as long as in business they still write that check, Well, it doesn't matter. Does it matter really if people think I'm simple or naive? I mean, if like in the old days, you had some beliefs that people didn't agree with it, and then you were a witch and they burn you. Okay, then it really matters. I would say then you really have to be careful. But in our society in general, okay, I don't know, not across the whole planet, but it doesn't matter if people think that you're cuckoo, really crazy. It doesn't matter much. Of course, in my business, when I'm working, for example, with some clients, then it's important for me to hear them, to express myself clearly, for them to understand that I know my business, I know what their interest is, I know how to manage, the relationship. So I have a conversation with them. I don't talk to them about non-duality. Because
yes, that's
but
shouldn't be.
If they're interested in non-duality, sometimes in the meetings I say things like, there is no way to win if we don't all win together. It's not non-duality, but it's not what usually people say. But often I say, if we all win together, I work for you and you also work for me, we all win. I win, you win. And it's interesting. Sometimes, you can adjust what you say, your understanding, to the particular situation. You're not speaking non-duality, you're not talking about consciousness, but you're talking about, you know, you're listening and how you're responding and what you say. And because you're not coming from any fear inside, you're not trying to project an image, or you're not trying to defend anything inside of yourself. You see, you're not trying to defend. Somehow it frees you. There is a freedom in your expression, you see.
Yes.
And so, but in terms of being concerned about what people think about me, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Am I going to trouble myself with that now? No. That's a long time ago. Long time ago. Qui s'en fiche de ça? I mean, it's let it go. They can think whatever they think.
I hope I can be in that state soon. I don't claim to be anywhere near this state.
No, but the thing is, Majid, is you are not the image that you have of yourself, and you are not the image that people have of you. And the image that people have of you, it changes all the time. You know, it changes all the time. It's like changing shoes. You know, one day they're wearing sneakers, next day they're wearing black leather shoes. No, but important for you to understand that the image has nothing to do with what you are. Now, of course, I would like to say that in the world, you have to have a certain, people have some expectations. You have a certain, if it's a public relationship, if you go into the store, you know, there is a certain way to behave in the store. If you go to a business meeting, there is a certain way of behaving in a business meeting. But I'm talking about the image.
Yes.
See? So you have
but
to.
It increasingly becomes like a burden, you know, like trying to put on a mask. And
absolutely.
In some places in the third world, it's like, the first few years I was reading a little bit of this Course in Miracles, and I was walking around with a large smile and everything. And if in some shops or something, they thought it's quite easy to mark up the price or to take advantage, you know.
Right.
So, because sometimes they think I'm from Mars, or
and then you surprise them. They find that you are the best negotiators, and they end up dropping the price even lower than they used to.
Sometimes I got to. Yes.
Yeah, little sound issue. Okay.
The sound issue, yes. I'm sorry. Maybe I taken too long, and maybe I take too long. Sorry. It was a very, very nice meditation.
Wonderful. No,
I'm very grateful.
It's all fine. It's all fine. We are all here together.
Yes.
So, thank you all. Very lovely to be with you.
Yes. I hope you don't mind my long questions.
Not at all, Majid. Not at all.
Yes.
And Mina,
thank you, Magdi.
With you.
Thank you.
Rahul.
Shukran, Habibi. Shukran. Shukran. Yes.
Frank. Hey, Frank. Shiva. Salut, Shiva.
من بيروت ماشي.
Kelly and Malcolm. Hello, Amna. Marga. Ibrahim. Kestley. Hello, Kestley. And Richard. Lotus. If I forgot anybody, please forgive me. Thank you all.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay.
Thank you,
Magdi. Thank you.